So Mr. Charlie Eason is in my Anytime Fitness class, and I've been there going on almost 3 years. And he has been in that class continually. And so he was the reason why I ordered 3X, because that was what he requested and needed. And then he told me that he really would like a 4X. And I told him no, that he can make a 3X work. Anyway, I was getting ready to start my Fitbit like I was, doing exercise just out of habit. So anyway, Mr. Charlie got 3X, and I am working on because I've had people earn all 3 colors. And so I'm working on, if you earn all 3 colors of a shirt, then I'm going to order sweatshirts. And that came from one day when it was so cold and everybody was wearing their t-shirts with long sleeves underneath. And I thought, we need sweatshirts. So I thought that would be something extra special to earn. If you show that you're that dedicated, past 3 t-shirts and a sweatshirt, I guess I'm going to have to look at cars. I said I wasn't going to look at cars, but
If we can get your black belt and Tai Chi.
I'll just have to look at cars. I teach bingo size, and I'm always telling them, like, tell me ideas of things that y'all would like to win at bingo size. And, of course, they're like cash, card. They want all, though. I was like, realistically, y'all, like a toilet seat light. So I bought toilet seat lights, and 2 people, and I give them kind of a few choices when it comes to bingo. Something I have learned just in this past class, I had bought playing cards. And I have learned that some of my seniors growing up were not allowed to have playing cards in the house.
Yes, yes.
That was surprising to me. It never occurred to me that it was a taboo type item. So ever since then, I kind of give them some choices. And so a couple ladies have chosen the toilet seat light. And yesterday, one of the ladies came in, Miss Retha, and she said, Miss Jennifer, I have a party in my bathroom. She said, I put that toilet seat light on my toilet, and now my toilet flashes from red to blue to green. She said, all I need is music, and I have a party in my bathroom. So anyway, the toilet seat light has been a hit. And it's all in the name of falls prevention and safety in the bathroom, where that's one of the places people fall. If you want to know the correlation, lighting is everything. I don't know about flashing blue, yellow, or blue, red, and green, but I guess I didn't really know what I bought. I just ordered toilet seat lights. I didn't know it had multi-functions of colors. Good. Wow. All right, well, I know we're good and warmed up, but I do want to mention the new poster that I have that says breathe in calm, breathe out stress. We talked about this last week. Mr. Lance shared the blessings and the fear. These 2 words were selfish words that I used when I wrote that on Tuesday. Because I was practicing exactly what I've told y'all. When I found out my dog had chewed my brand new car's wheel, and I was very upset, and I had to breathe in calm and exhale out stress, and really regroup and think about what is really important in life. Is it important that my wheel has scratches on it? No, what's important is my car gets me where I need to go. And so that was just, I made that out of my need, and I just added it to our class to remind us to use it. And it really did help me regroup my thoughts and not get caught up in stress. You know, if you're stressing and you're focusing on the things, I mean, it was pretty much somewhat out of my control. I guess I couldn't have bought a dog if I didn't want a dog to do dog things. But you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes we have to regroup and refocus. And I feel like that's yet another gift that Tai Chi gives us through breathing and just through the fact that we slow down. And that lends itself to regrouping. All right. Do y'all have anything to share with
Before you get started, could you spotlight yourself on the on Zoom?
Thank you. And in that time, I didn't think I needed an actual spotlight. All right, spotlight for everyone. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, because like I said, when one person is here, I can't spotlight myself. I can only pin myself. Anything y'all would like to share? Or
just happy to be here.
Say that again.
Just happy to be here.
Good. I'm happy to be here too. All right, let's get in our stable stance with our feet about shoulder width or hip width apart, soft bend in our knees, relaxed in our shoulders, but still having our upright posture. And we're breathing. Even at just a regular pace, we don't have to worry about diaphragmatic breathing as long as we are continuing to breathe through our movements. And let's go through our warm-up, starting with our neck. There are certain movements that lend themselves to diaphragmatic breathing. This is one of them for me. The inhale as I come up and then exhale as I finish up that movement. But just keep in mind that all of our lungs are different, and so we breathe at different rates. So it's hard for me to guide breath when that's the fact. That's the fact, Jack. Other neck exercise, following that hand as we look towards that shoulder. And as we look towards that shoulder, we can pull that opposite shoulder just back a little bit and extend that stretch if you choose. Get stuck on this one because I love this stretch so much. I've never done it too much. All right, for our shoulders, roll our shoulders forward, thinking small circles, thinking the size of a quarter. And I know my quarter is always a $50. And roll them back. And that feels a lot more comfortable. Almost feels like a massage. But rolling our shoulders back helps us reset our posture. Roll forward, kind of feels awkward. It's all in the name of warming up our shoulders. This movement right here definitely lends itself to breath. Inhaling as we come up and exhaling as we push down, especially those words of affirmation or words that we need. Inhale that calm and exhale that stress. I told my family Tuesday, don't be surprised if I exhale Boom Brady, which is the dog. My son said, huh? I said, inhale Pitch, which is the puppy that never does anything wrong, and exhale Boom Brady. Get our ball and stretch our spine, separating those hands, push up and down, still keeping that soft bend in the elbow. Another one that lends itself to breath, inhaling at the ball and exhaling as you separate. Like I said, not all movements just make sense for me in breath. And last one. Just like this one, side to side. I just breathe at my regular rate. I've never been able to time out an inhale and an exhale at certain, ends and starts of this movement. Kind of lean back towards just smooth, slow, smooth, and continuous. Because it's such a short trip, it's easy to kind of speed up a little bit. And really take your time with that switch. Moving to our lower body for our hips, shifting weight, heel forward, hands back, pause, and toe back, hands forward. Reminding ourselves to breathe and to maintain our upright posture. Side. Shifting our weight from side to side, remaining upright, staying within our frame. This one again is for our hips. If you've always been in a standing Tai Chi class and you haven't been introduced to the seated versions of these movements, this one I just want to share is very different than the standing version. And I feel like everyone, even standing Tai Chi people, can benefit from the seated version of this movement. And so when we shift the weight on the standing version, right, and then this leg taps out, when we're seated, we shift the weight to one leg. And when we shift weight seated, that means we push that foot into the floor. And it is a stable, obviously a stabilizer for us. You can try it without pushing into the floor and with pushing into the floor to feel the difference, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But we take our hands in the direction of the weight shift, just like we do when we're standing. And what we do with this other leg is not tap out to the side. That is not comfortable for me. Lay your knee out. And so you can feel a stretch in this hip flexor, Bring that foot up. Now make this the stabilizer and lay that knee out. And so you're in control of how far you lay it out. You'll feel that stretch and feel where it's comfortable, and it'll depend on your flexibility. But if you're a person who sits or drives a lot, and if you're driving or in a car a lot, you're sitting, you get really tight in your hip flexors, and your hip flexors are a real complicated set of muscles. But that's just one stretch that you can do for your hip flexor, and it's so different than the standing version that we do here. Just moving our leg out helps warm up our hip, the muscles around our hips, but actually doing that movement stretches that. And here's a standing version of that, where you lay that knee out and stretch those muscles. So if you get real stiff in your hips from sitting a lot, whether it be in a car or at a desk or wherever you're sitting a lot, you may get lower back pain, and it may be because your hips are really tight. You may get pain in other places, I mean, even your knees, and it may be because your hips are so tight. The way God made us, all of our muscles are crisscrossed and connected, and you may be hurting somewhere, but the problem may be somewhere else. Anyway, I just wanted to share that seated version in case you've never seen it before, if you've always done standing Tai Chi. All right, for our knees, we have our loose fist. I keep mine at my hips. You can have them up here at your waist as long as you're not holding tension in your shoulders. So shift our weight, lift, tap and punch. I had to regroup on my balance there for a second. Again, not a problem. Our goal, of course, is to not fall. And sometimes we do have to drop that foot down and go, okay, I wasn't quite ready to give weight to that foot or that leg. I guess it's your foot too. It's all connected. Just check in with your fist. Make sure you're keeping them loose. And make sure you're breathing. Now let's step out. Small step. We're keeping both feet on the floor. Shift weight forward and bring that weight back. Love this one for weight shift because we weight shift side to side and front and back. And we practice keeping upright posture even while we weight shift forward, which I think is a challenge. I think our tendency is to want to lean forward, but we want to keep that posture upright. And that'll serve us when we're moving out there in the world. We do so many awesome things in Tai Chi, and when we want to continue to follow so many of the principles when we're out in the world, specifically posture and holding our bodies in a stable way. All right, for our ankles, shift and heel toe. Rocking that foot. Getting that stiffness out of my ankle. And to the other foot, heel toe. It's raining here. I didn't give y'all the weather report. We went from 80 degrees yesterday to 60 today. So yet another rainy weekend. Big toe, little toe. This one's probably a little more awkward than the other one, depending on the mobility of your ankle. And that's what we're working on with this movement, is mobility of our ankle joint specifically. And this is a movement you can do while you are seated somewhere, just to add a little movement to your, just sitting there. It's easy to do. You can still do, be a good listener and move those ankle joints. All right, give yourself a good shake and we are ready. Is there anything that y'all would like to focus on today, or just you're wanting to practice and just keep moving forward with part 2? Y'all just let me know.
I'm good with moving forward with part 2, but
All right.
Practicing and moving forward.
I know, Miss Gwen, you have been so thrilled to have this class. You have wanted this class. And you're so patient in part 1 class, and I like that. But one of my Anytime Fitness guys, Mr. Bob, I was talking to them one day about how that's a very difficult class, because you never know when somebody is going to show up and that's going to be their first day of Tai Chi. And then here in the same class, you have Mr. Bob, who's been doing it for 2 years. And so I said to them, thank you for being so patient when we have new people come in, because I don't want to throw them into advanced movements like they're supposed to know it already. So thank you for letting me go back to the beginning. And Mr. Bob said, oh, I like it when you go back to the beginning, because I realize that there are a lot of things that I still don't know. And I was like, well, we hear it differently. The more times we hear it, from the first time to the 10th time to whatever time, we absorb it differently because we learn more. So Tai Chi is a definite process, and I'm still learning after many years. I'm still learning things about it. So it's a very dynamic set of movements for sure. All right, so let's go. Okay, I got to start over here from the top of part 1, basic 6 and advanced 6. I'm in my stable stance, relaxed shoulders, reminding myself to breathe as I begin my movements with commencement. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Advance 6. Rush knee. Play the loop. Carry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. Rush knee. Play the loop. Carry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. Close it out. Thinking slow, smooth, and continuous. I'm gonna go through our principles. Thinking slow, smooth, and continuous in the nature of our movements from the beginning and all the way through. And commence. The whip. Waving hands in clouds. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Advance 6. Thinking slow, smooth, continuous. Brush knee. Play the loop. Harry punch. Walk and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. Brush knee. Shift to the wrong side. Play the loop. Harry punch. Walk and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. A couple places where slow, smooth, and continuous really stands out to me. In basic 6, it's after that single whip, and you get to the end, and immediately, and this hand finishes off that movement, but then it comes down and right back up for waving hands in clouds. So in the coming from the front, single whip here, you see how seamlessly we went from single whip to waving hands in clouds, and that movement never stopped. It was continuous. That's one place that slow, smooth, and continuous, especially that word, stands out to me. Here's Sharita. I hope she hadn't been here that long. Been turned around. That's one place that stands out, that it's, easy to implement that continuous word. And then another one is when we get done with our final wave hand in cloud, that final turn, it's this hand comes up and brings the other one over, almost like it's a magnet, brings it forward for open and close. And that's another moment where continuous really happens for me. And then in advance 6, when we finish brush knee, or when we're doing brush knee here, as soon as this hand comes down to my hip, this is kind of like a pass the baton. This hand comes down to my hip. I didn't even start that movement right, excuse me. Here, pass the baton. Now this one immediately starts moving through that continuous of pass the baton. So those were a few moments that really stood out to me, thinking about slow, smooth, and continuous, and how to transition even within a movement, but from one movement to the other. Other things may stand out to y'all, and you don't have to share it with me now, but thinking about that, how to make those transition from movement to movement happen more continuously. And then also within the movements, when you're switching hands or when there's some kind of switch, to see how continuous you can make that and not make it so choppy. All right, let's go through it again, but this time we're thinking gentle resistance. So thinking of places that we can enter gentle resistance. All right, so here we go. And from the top, commence. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Advance 6. Brush knee. Thanking gentle resistance. Lock and close. Open, close. Brush knee. Play the loop. Carry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. Things that stand out for me for gentle resistance. Open and close. You know, definitely like it's a pulling taffy or playing that what's accordion. Pull in the accordion, push in the accordion. And then definitely in our advanced movements, gentle resistance happened a lot on the attack movements. So when I pushed, right, that transition, it often happened when I was shifting weights, or shifting weight. But the attack, you know, whenever we punch, you know, you can really give a little extra resistance because you're not going to have resistance all the time. You know, you kind of let it go and then you give it the resistance. So that is places that gentle resistance really stands out for me. And of course, that's one of our movement control principles. Next is in terms of our body structure, thinking about our posture. And if I forget to say the names of the movement is because I'm thinking about what I told y'all to think about. So I'm thinking about upright posture. And that can only happen when you know the movement so well, you don't even have to think about what you're doing next. Your body's like in memory mode. But you know, last week my brain went completely blank and that happens. But I'm focusing on upright posture here as we go through it. All right, so here we go. From the top again, upright posture. And commence. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Close. To me, this is where upright posture is very much challenged as we shift weight forward and back. Advanced movement starting with brush knee. Take the loop. Carry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. Brush knee. Play the loop. Carry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. So maybe you experience that too. I feel like my body wants to lean with the weight shift. So I challenge myself to stay upright, even with the weight shift forward. Specifically forward, I want to go with it, but I challenge myself to stay upright. The final principle that we'll focus on as we go through the movements is just weight transfer. We'll back up on upright posture. Kind of the partner principle that goes with it is not keeping tension in your shoulders. To me, upright posture, sometimes my shoulders will tighten up and come up, but as I adjust my posture to also check in with my shoulders too. And then with weight transfer, as we focus on that, the partner principle is our empty step. So not to get caught up in continuous move or continuous, and sometimes that means to continually keep moving or to just go ahead and start shifting weight with a step, but to make sure you are empty stepping, then weight shift. And even if it's just a tiny second of a moment of an empty step before the weight shift. So weight transfer is in our body structure principle. All right, let's go through it all again and do a time check. Okay. And again, weight transfer, empty steps, and commence. Open, close. single whip, waving hands in clouds, waving hands in clouds, open close. Advance 6, brush knee, thinking about weight transfer, empty step. Play the loop. Carry punch. Push the tiger. Open close. Snake, sorry. Play the loop. Carry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. Open close. So I even noticed in those movements, when I'm thinking about weight transfer and when I'm thinking about empty step, I see less of the continuous in my movements. Just focus on giving it full respect to the empty step and probably giving it longer of a time to be empty whenever that's what's on my mind. And so that just gives you an example of how to practice your movements with all the principles. And then when you go and do the movements without thinking of anything specific, then you'll do all those things. Let's do it one last time with nothing in mind, except we're just doing our Tai Chi. And then we'll do our work on our part 2. So basic 6, advanced 6, this is our part 1, and immense. Open close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open close. Advance 6. Brush knee. Play the loop. Carry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. Close it out. I think we did that 6 or 7 times in a row. And hopefully with each time you did it, you just felt more and more comfortable with the movements. And you just naturally implemented those principles because you practiced it with the principles in mind. And they just all joined hands in one little harmonious set of movements. Oh, so any questions about any of that or any comments?
No.
I'm glad you're here, Sharita. haven't spoken to you. I apologize. Are you wearing your coral shirt?
No, I ordered it. I ain't got it yet.
Okay. You're like this tiny little box, and I just saw that pretty color. All right, so part 2. We know the first movement for sure, and that is brush knee, and we're going to the right. So our first is brush knee. So we brush knee to the right. Don't even have to talk about those movements here. But now we're at leisurely tie the coat. So the left foot, left hand come back. And at the same time that happens, our right hand karate chops, right? So step back, karate chop, shift, put our 3 fingers on our wrist, follow step right, zip it up. So that, those movements together, all right? Step back, single whip. Not step back, single whip. Leisurely tie the coat. Leisurely tie the coat. Bring the left foot, left hand back, karate chop right. Shift, follow step right, 3 fingers. Zip it up. All right, we're ready to offer this pie. We step right, shift and offer. Follow step left. They don't want our pie. Step back left. Shift. You see how that popped up my right foot? Now I'm going to bring this pie around. My right foot follows it. When I get next to my head and my hand turns, the 3 fingers go from my wrist to the back of my wrist, to the back of my hand. And I'm going to shift right as I deliver that pie, follow step left. And then we take our pie, or we take that pie, we've already thrown it. Now we're done. And we're going to the front. Hands face, and we open and close. All right, so let's go there again from the end of brush knee. So our weight is on our right leg. Our left is stepped back. Our left hand is out. Our right hand is by our hip. Leisurely tie the coat. Step back left, karate chop right. Shift left. Follow step right, 3 fingers. Zip it up. Step right, shift and offer. Follow step left. They don't want our pie, y'all. Step back left, shift. Popped up my right foot. Bring it around. Ready to go. Shift right, deliver that pie. Follow step left. To the front, step left, shift and right. Hands face, open and close. So that final movement probably reminds you of when we push the tiger and then we go to the front, hands face, open and close. So hopefully you feel the similarity in that movement. Our hands are just a little bit different. Our 3 fingers, when we bring that hand to our I call it my belt buckle, my waist, but down here, and those 3 fingers, kind of like you're checking your pulse, zip it up. You offer, those 3 fingers are still on that wrist. They don't want it, and you step back. You bring this around And when you turn your hand, those three fingers end up on the back of your wrist. And then that helps aid that delivering that pie. So that's kind of the progression of those three fingers. We bring it back, boom, three fingers, zip it up, step and offer, step back, bring it around. The three fingers are now on the back, and I push. So I didn't really do anything with this hand. And notice I'm not saying left and right, but I'm doing that on purpose. The three fingers, they really didn't do anything but just stay in place. It's this hand that moved, and the three fingers just stayed there while this hand moved. So you don't have, once you put those three fingers in place, they're there for the ride of the other hand, because it's the one that moves. Now, this movement right here, how big that circle is depends on your mobility. So it may look a little bit different. If you don't feel comfortable coming out wide, you want to stay a little bit closer, that's okay. It's wherever you feel most comfortable. It'll depend on your shoulder. It'll depend on your back, on where you feel most comfortable with that movement. So there you have some room for modification to make sure that you're comfortable in that movement. So let's go from the top. Our brush knee, shift. Well, we don't have to talk about it. We know brush knee. Leisurely tie the coat. Step back left, karate chop right. Shift, follow step, three fingers. Zip it up. Step, shift, and offer. Follow step. Step back, shift, bring it around. Shift as I deliver it. Follow step to the front. Step, shift, step, adjust weight, open and close. Okay, we'll keep practicing that, but let's go to our step back single whip. So step back single whip is like our other single whip. We're just stepping back instead of stepping front. I mean, I don't know how y'all would have ever guessed, but that's what we're doing here. So we're finishing up open and close, step back single whip. Shift right, step left. I know it's called step back single whip. What I have found for me, and y'all play around with your foot movement, is if I really step back and then I go to do that whip part, the transition of that next movement makes my feet in this weird, awkward position like they're too close. So I played around with that movement a little bit, and it's not, for me, it's not so much step back, but step a little bit wide. Like it is back, but I stepped wide. You see that? So it's not here, even though the movement says step back, single whip, shift, step wide. Like I did step back, but the wide is what's going to help me in that next move, which is fist under elbow. So play around with that movement, where your spacing feels right for you, but it is shift right, step left. Push my hands out, turn and separate. My eyes follow my right hand. The rule of single whip, whether you're doing the step forward or the step back, is your head, your eyes follow the hand opposite of the foot that stepped back. So in this case, we step back our left foot and we followed our right. And just like with the other single whip, we didn't forget to move the other hand. We didn't fall victim to out of sight, out of mind. We remembered to do both. So this is a nice wide stance and gives us room to move for fist under elbow. So let's talk through it And don't let yourself be overwhelmed by it because we don't have a lot of time to explore it. But we'll get here faster next week. I won't go through the principles with our part 1 movements. We'll get here faster so we can spend more time with it. But I just thought it was a good time to go through principle. Here, next movement is fist under elbow. So I shift left. I turn my right foot, and that's what I'm talking. Let me show you from the front. This is what I was talking about, why it's important to play around with that, the spacing and placement of your foot when you do step back single whip, because when you fist under elbow, you shift, turn. Now, if you don't have enough spacing in your feet, you may step on your other foot and you're really in a bind. And when you turn, now shift, step, shift, follow step. So that's what that looks like. And that's why I mean that step back, step wide is important for when you fist under elbow. You need the room to move so you're not stepping all over your feet. If your feet are tangled up, that's definitely a balance issue. So you have your step back single whip, shift left, I turn my right toe. And when I turned my right toe, my right hand came down to my hip. Now I shift right. Now when I shifted right, this left foot turned on the ball. So now both of my feet are facing that direction. This hand, the end of your single whip hand, that's not the hand you watched, but the end of your single whip hand, it ain't doing anything for a minute. It's just going along with you moving from facing front to facing the left. Shift, turn, shift. So see, it's facing that wall, but only because your body moved with it. It was already facing that way. So you haven't done anything with that left hand yet. Step back, single whip, shift left, turn that right foot, right hand goes to our hip. Shift right, and then that left foot pivoted on that ball. Now we're going to step left, and when we step left, that left hand is going from facing out to here. Okay? So, shift, turn, shift, step, shift, follow step right, and that right hand goes fist under elbow. Now this move is called fist under elbow, but it's not fist under elbow. If you put your fist under your elbow, you feel tension in your shoulder. What it is fist in the plane of under the elbow. So it's here and here. Got it? I know I rushed you through it, and I know it's 10 o'clock. But step back, single whip, shift, turn, shift, step, shift, follow step. Familiar language, right? Step, shift, follow step. It's what we do in Tai Chi. That's going to be our next t-shirt. Step, shift, follow step. That's what we do. All right, let's cool down. Y'all think that would make a good t-shirt?
Yes.
It would.
We got to get creative. We can't just have everything say, the same stuff. And we want to stand out because we are exceptional.
Yeah.
And the point of a t-shirt, we have a sense of pride that we belong to something when we have a special t-shirt, but marketing people say that t-shirts is like the #1 thing to, get people to check out your whatever or ask questions about your whatever. So
As a high school coach for 37 years, high school kids will do anything for a t-shirt. I mean, they will do. If you say you come to 20 practices this year, you get a t-shirt, you'll have incredible attendance.
it's
I mean,
and Sharita and Gwen, y'all can attest to Lance that I don't buy the cheap t-shirt. I buy this beach wash ring spun cotton. Like it's the shirt like you've wore 1,000 times. Like it's so comfortable.
So comfortable.
Tense and relax. I don't buy cups that sweat, and I don't buy any shirt that itches. I like soft. Tense and relax. There was a time we weren't allowed to buy t-shirts with our money, but I guess they gave that up. And I'm sorry for going a little bit over today, y'all.
It's fine.
Inhale.
oh yeah, no problem.
And exhale. One more. Most of the time I'll get a little glimpse of my watch to know what time it is, but today my shirt, it was over my watch the whole time. I could not ever get a glimpse of what time it was. All right, so we have our mirror image right fist that represents our strength, our left fingers together, our friendship, our thumb in, our humility. Putting those together, and we say in mutual respect, namaste. Thank y'all.
you.
We're
Thank
making
you.
headway in our part 2, and I just think it's great. And like I said, next week we'll get there faster. And I'm going to write that on my sheet, get to part 2 faster. Sometimes I get all the classes confused. Imagine that. So anyway, I hope y'all have a wonderful week, and let me know if I can do anything for you, okay? And be watching out for your shirt, Mr. Lance. I'll put it in the mail today.
Appreciate it.
My
Have a great
pleasure.
weekend,
All right,
everybody.
love y'all.
Love
Love
y'all.
you too.
Bye.
Bye.